Greetings from Southern California. This is Dr. Emily Letran, and it is absolutely my honor to be hosting this podcast today, right here on Global Summits Institute. I am honored to have Dr. Michael Keys with me. And first, I would like to just share a couple of notes about the projects that we are working on. This is the Global Summit Institute, and we are the organization that are uniting medicine, pharmacy, dentistry, philosophy, optometry, and chiropractic. We are creating the doctor to doctor movement where we will have everyone come in, work together, collaborate, and create the best experience for our patients to get rid of third party intervention and to actually enjoy our life the way it's supposed to be as doctors. You can join us by going to top100doctor.com to nominate a colleague, to nominate yourself if you feel that these individuals and yourself have made significant contributions to our profession. We will also be inviting you as a nominee to join us on our partner. Take a picture of this. These are the links to the booking that you can take a look at after our interview and come and join us and be part of the Doctor to Doctor movement. My name is Dr. Emily Letran. I am the CEO of Exceptional Leverage Coaching. I'm a dentist practicing for 28 years, graduated from UCLA. I also host the event Action to Win. There's one coming up in July in Miami. And I help healthcare professionals maximize their potential, streamline business, and increase profits so they can win back time from work and enjoy their time with their family, their children, and their loved ones. One of the projects that we are working and we're going to be finishing is our Doctor to Doctor book with a foreword written by Dr. Keanu Shah. And we have collaborating authors such as Dr. Edward Zuckerberg, the father of Mark Zuckerberg, Dr. Kevon Javid, and a whole group of Dream Team doctors who will be sharing success strategies to elevate your business and personal life. And we're launching that book at the upcoming event. You can go to Action to Win to register for this event. We will have industry leaders sharing their expertise on how to grow your business in and out of the professional world. And we would love to have you there where we're going to do our book launching. We also have the Universal School of Health. Go to drhb.org to check out all of these programs. It is a program teaching doctors, all doctors in healthcare, how to run their business. Because as we all know, we don't have a lot of that in our regular training. The Global Summits Institute is hosting Universal School of Health, the program Doctorate of Healthcare Business, total length of 91 weeks. There are 5 week modules. There are total of 23 modules to be taken concurrently over 65 weeks. We also will have the doctors do thesis and defense. And what this will do is it will help put you out there on the map in the world of research with corporations where you can also teach and share your expertise. Please feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is there. Just take a screenshot of it. You can text Action 2021 to 26786 and get a free high performance assessment so you can find out if you are a high performer. So I am very, very honored to be hosting the partner today with Dr. Michael Keys. And let me just share a little bit, just a tiny little bit about Dr. Michael Keys. So Dr. Keys is a current plastic surgery fellow at the University of Louisville, Kentucky. He's the founder and CEO of Celebrity Plastics, where he has collectively a following of more than 300,000 people and over 60 million impressions every month. Dr. Keys has been published in Marie Claire, Vox.com, Fabiola, and many more print media. Dr. Key's research has been published in the American Surgeon Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery Journal and has been a speaker at the Regional American College of Surgeons Trauma meeting. Dr. Keys also spent his time as a resident advisory board member for PRS and PRS Global Open, the top plastic surgery journals in the world. Dr. Keys, welcome to our partner today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to speak to everyone today.
Yes, and I'm so excited to have you here. You're going to be sharing a little bit about how to grow the Instagram followers. This is so vital for all of our healthcare providers because we all know that nowadays you got to be top of mind, right? You got to be in front of everybody, and Instagram is that fast-growing platform that patients whoever we want to follow us, our prospects, our prospective customers and patients, they're on there. So you have to be where your patients are and where your followers are. And as an influencer, which is somebody who have social media following with their expertise, you can also get you know, sponsors, right? And other opportunities. And I'm so glad that you're here. I'm also very honored that you're going to be speaking at Action to Win to share even more of your knowledge in depth at that event. So tell me a little bit, why did you choose Instagram besides the fact that you're young? But why did you choose Instagram as the platform, as one of your main platforms?
So the reason why I chose Instagram is because Instagram is a very visual platform. And so, in the field of plastic surgery, our results are really what the patients are after. And so we have to really show our befores and afters. And, Instagram's a great platform to showcase that. And so I thought that Instagram is a great platform that doesn't require a lot of time. TikTok and some of those YouTube videos and stuff take a lot of time. And so Instagram kind of meshed with the time that I had available to give in order to build a social media following. And then, it just seemed to be a perfect fit for plastic surgery as well.
Yes, because obviously plastic surgery is very visual, right? And as a
Yes.
dentist, I know dentistry is also very visual because when you smile, that's the first thing that people see. Now, plastic surgery is obviously not the quickest way to finish the profession.
Hmm.
You got your medical school, you got your fellowship. Why did
Yeah.
you choose plastic surgery? Was there an event? Was there something that inspired you? Why plastic surgery?
So that's a great question. And so, I'm the first doctor in my family. And so I didn't really have that background where I could see, follow in someone's footsteps as far as what field I wanted to go into. And so I really took the third year of my medical school when we go through our clinical rotations to really decide what specialty I wanted to pursue. And so, they say people want to go into medicine or surgery, and that's kind of two different branches of the field of medicine. And so for me, I just love to operate and I like to work with my hands and see instant results. And so I went down the surgery path. And then within the field of surgery, I just kind of looked at all the different specialties available. And the field of plastics really kind of spoke out to me just because you can work with kids up to adults. You can work on the entire body. And most importantly, I think, patients can really see the results of your work. It's a very aesthetic field. And, I think that there's really a lot of skill to get a good result. Even more so because the patient, again, is aware of what you're doing. I remember as a general surgeon, you can do a beautiful, gallbladder surgery, for example, but the patient doesn't really see anything other than the incision on their belly. And so, whenever you're working with plastic surgery, the patient will guarantee see what you've been doing. And, I take pride in that. I take pride in doing good work and helping these people out.
Yes, and just like you say, I think it's so transformational, right? When somebody can all of it can see, how they look different. And a lot of time,
Hmm.
earlier this morning, we had the honor of interviewing Dr. Catrice Austin, who is a celebrity dentist, and we were
Yep.
talking about, when you change the way somebody look,
Hmm.
you change their confidence, and
Absolutely.
you change how they think about themselves. You change their outlook in life, and so it's more than just fixing the look, right?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
really changing the person as a whole, and I'm really so excited to because I'm older, obviously, and it's always great to see somebody who is younger, who already decided what their passion is, and who has a really a bigger view than just I'm going to go and do my dentistry or my surgery. Is when you start creating that following, you already have that vision that you want to create impact, right? It's just not, I'm going to be in my office, I'm going to do this. You want to create the impact. You want people to understand how things, lives can change. And as a surgeon, you don't have to be stuck in an office, in a hospital. You can really literally be everywhere on Instagram and other social media platforms.
Absolutely. Ever since I started my platform, I've had a lot of opportunities to not only educate patients, but even just to lay public about, transformations that are achievable with plastic surgery. And so I just really enjoy the feedback that I get from people who, a lot of times don't even realize what's possible with plastic surgery. And so it's been very, very fulfilling to develop my following and interact with my followers. So
Yeah, yeah, and I'm so glad that and thank you very much for taking the time to come on. I know when we were talking, you said, "Well, let me see if I'm not on call." you know.
yeah.
And when I was in dental school, one of my friends from undergrad, she was in med school. Sometimes she just end up in our apartment, right? If she has certain rotation at UCLA, and she would say, "Okay, I'm on call," and then the day before I'm pre-call, and then the day after I'm post-call, right? So when people say on call, they actually mean 3 days. So I really
Yeah, yeah.
appreciate you taking the time to be here and share your expertise with us. So you can just go ahead, doctor, and share your slides, and then you can
Okay.
just go ahead and start your presentation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Let me see here. Can you see my slides?
Not yet. Did you
Okay.
click on share screen?
Yeah, give me 1 second here. Share screen, desktop. Can you see my desktop now?
Yeah, yes, now it's good. We're good.
Okay, perfect. All right. So again, thank you, Dr. Letran, for inviting me to speak. And so today's talk is just going to be on how to build a brand on Instagram. And I'm very happy to be invited to the Global Summit today. And just like Dr. Letran introduced very well, I'm Michael Keys. I'm a plastic surgery fellow at the University of Louisville. I founded Celebrity Plastics on Instagram in August 2017, where I talk about celebrity before and afters, as well as advertise for some of the best plastic surgeons in the world. I currently have 350,000 organic followers through my network, which includes Celebrity Plastics, Celebrity Injectors, as well as my own business profile at Dr. Keys. I've been featured in print media such as Vogue, USA Today, Marie Claire, Vox.com, and other news media as well. And then I've also published research in some prestigious journals like the American Surgeon, as well as the Plastics and Reconstructive Surgery Journal. So today, I want to talk about how I built my following on Instagram, as well as how I can help you build your brand on Instagram. But first, I wanted to talk about Instagram statistics that will hopefully convey why it's important to have a presence on Instagram today, especially if you are in a field like dentistry or plastic surgery where you need to advertise or market to potential patients in order to build your business. After I talk about that, I will talk about how I can build your brand on Instagram and the tools that I use to create my brand, as well as common pitfalls to avoid during this process. So, Instagram is a social network that allows users to share and edit both photos and videos. And so, it is the second most popular social media network behind Facebook, with over 1 billion users worldwide. Um, about 37% of US internet users are on Instagram, and 60% of these users visit the platform every single day. Instagram released their stories, which is just a 24-hour post that shows up, and that's very active with over 500 million story users worldwide. And so 71% of users are under the age of 35. And so if your target market consists of young adults, you know that Instagram is the right place for you to be. And so if you realize that you're trying to target this demographic, then you definitely want to be on Instagram. The average user spends about, almost an hour on Instagram every day. And so this matters because the more time people spend on Instagram, the more ads they'll see and the more opportunities they will have to interact with your brand. And so to go along with that, businesses are also using Instagram. And so an estimated 71% of US businesses use Instagram. 80% of businesses consider Instagram engagement as the most important key performance indicator whenever they're marketing on Instagram. And about half of IG users follow at least one business. And so this basically means that you should be on Instagram because, you don't want to be left behind. You don't want to be in the 29% of businesses that are not on Instagram. You want to go where your patients are. And so, by building a presence on Instagram, you can definitely reach out to them. And so Instagram is one of the highest engagements compared to all social media platforms, and actually generates 4 times as much engagement as Facebook. And so that is remarkable. And so that's the reason why I chose Instagram as well to promote my brand. And statistics show that Instagram helps about 80% of Instagrammers decide whether to buy a product or service. And I've definitely fallen guilty to this. I've definitely purchased products based on ads that I've seen on Instagram. And as everyone is aware, these social media platforms tend to figure out what you like and what you interact with, and will promote those posts a lot more so that you're tempted to buy a product that you're interacting with. And so my story of building my brand started in 2017. I had just gotten accepted into plastic surgery fellowship, but still had a year left in general surgery residency. And so I knew that social media was super important for plastic surgeons compared to other specialties because, as I mentioned before, plastic surgeons need to market themselves a lot more compared to other doctors. And, plastic surgery fellowship is 3 years. And, I had to finish my last year general surgery. And so I didn't want to wait 4 years when I would, technically be done with fellowship to start my social media presence. So I decided to take it upon myself to learn as much as I could about Instagram and get started early so that I could hit the ground running whenever I was done with fellowship. But I had no idea how difficult social media was until I started experimenting with it on my own. I tried everything during this experimental phase, including buying followers, buying likes, buying social media profiles to get a head start, all of which I do not recommend. And so you can definitely learn from my mistakes by listening to this talk. And so initially, I was really slow to develop a following, but I eventually figured it out and now have successfully built multiple profiles on Instagram with large followings with a combined 60 million impressions a month. So before we talk about building a brand, we should first talk about the optimal Instagram workflow, because you have to really know how Instagram works in order to optimize what you post, so that you have the best results. And so there's basically four steps whenever you post on Instagram. So, first, you prepare a post, which involves the most work. And this is where you will spend the vast majority of your time. And once the post is prepared, you then publish it on the platform. That results in a reaction from your audience and then generates objective data that you can analyze in order to improve future posts. So, let's delve into each section here. So here's an example of something that I did in order to generate a good response to this post. So first, what I do is I find a post that has good engagement on another page, which I will show you how to do later on in the presentation. And so this post had gone viral on a meme page. And what I found is that posts that tend to go viral on pages with a similar following will also go viral on your page as well if you repost it. And so I kind of liken it to watching a rerun episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel Air, which I'm a big fan of. And so no matter how many times I've watched the same episode, I don't mind watching it again as long as the content is good. And that's how most people feel about Instagram. So, what you want to do first is you want to create a caption that encourages engagement with a call to action. So, here you can see that I give a call to action for people to double tap if she looks amazing. And so, in my experience, the more obvious or controversial the call to action is, the more likely people will interact with this post. So in this example, most people would agree that Meryl Streep looks fantastic in her 70s. And so a lot of people interacted or double tapped, which is also liking the post. And so that translates to a lot of engagement. And so once you have a lot of engagement, this lets the post trend on the top posts for the various hashtags I put. And so here you can see the hashtags that I put on the bottom here. And whenever you trend on the top posts, more people will see the post and interact with it, thereby reinforcing its longevity. And so this brings me to the next point about hashtags. And so hashtags are a way to organize and categorize photos and videos. So when people search for hashtags, they will see a top and recent headers that you can see on the right here. And that basically, the top header is the default view, and it showcases the most popular posts within that hashtag. And so the post with the most engagement in relation to the followers would trend on the top post page. And these posts may stay on this top, header for hours, days, weeks, or even months, depending on how people continue to interact with that post. These posts can also show up in the explore page on Instagram, which has the highest amount of impressions on Instagram. It can bring a lot of traffic to your page. If you look to the right here, the recent header will also show every single post within that particular hashtag in chronological order. So even if you don't end up in the top posts, you will definitely show up in the recent posts for anyone who's looking for new content. And so here is an example of the hashtag celebrity plastics. The top posts are mainly my posts. However, there are some users that have adopted the celebrity plastics hashtag and are also trending on the top post for that page. And so I definitely recommend that you create your own hashtag so that people can find your posts as well, so that you can also start to trend in the hashtags apps, which I'll talk about later. But on average, on average, Instagram, each post has about 10 hashtags. In my opinion, the more hashtags, the better, as you have more opportunities to trend in the top posts for different hashtags. So, like hashtag plastic surgery or hashtag, Botox, for example, the more hashtags you put, the more chance that you have to show up in the top post, or at least you can even show up in the recent posts. And so there are certain apps like hashtag expert to find the best hashtags within your niche that I'll talk about later. And so, now that you've prepared your post and figured out, what caption you wanted and generated a call to action and figured out your hashtags, it's time to post it on Instagram. And so, what I recommend before you post is to look at your insights to post at the correct time. And so here, if you click on the top right here, these three arrows, you can find how to get to your insights. Uh, Insights are a valuable tool to look at the demographics of your followers, and they're only available for creator or business accounts. So I highly recommend people make their brand page either one of those in order to gain access to insights. And so once you've clicked the insights, you'll see this page here, which is a brief overview of the number of accounts you've reached, as well as how often they interact with your posts. But for now, we're interested in looking at our audience. So you click see all here, and then that will show you a page of your demographics of your page. And at the very bottom, you can actually see the times as well as days that your users are most active on your page. And so here you can see for today on Saturday that 12 p.m. is when the most traffic comes to my page. And so I highly recommend that you schedule your posts so that they release during the time where you have peak activity so that you can gain more engagement with your followers. You obviously don't want to be posting at these times because there's going to be less people on your page, less engagement, and less chance for your post to trend. So back to the workflow. After you've found the best time and posted your content, your followers will then react with your post. So once you post, your followers will like, comment, share, or save your post on Instagram. And all of these interactions count towards the engagement rate of your post, which will ultimately determine if your post goes viral or not. And so in the bottom here, you can see a simplified formula to calculate engagement rate using publicly available information. And so most websites that calculate engagement rate use this formula, as you cannot see other metrics which likely factor into Instagram's true calculation of engagement, such as shares and saves. So for this example, let's assume that this account has 1,000 followers. So on the post on the left has an engagement rate of 12.5% because their total likes and comments is 125 divided by their followers, assuming 1,000, and then you multiply that by 100 in order to get 12.5%. Versus the one on the right, which got a lot less comments and a lot less likes. And so 12 total divided by the 1,000 times 100 will result in engagement rate of 1.2%. And so, why is this the case? You know, the photo on the left is a lot cuter puppy versus the one on the right. And so this one really resonated with their followers, so it had a lot more interaction and thereby a higher engagement rate. And so the post on the left will likely trend versus the one on the right. And so once your process had enough time to um, generate reaction, then you can perform analysis of the data that you receive from your post there. Sorry, my computer's freezing a little bit. Are you guys able to hear me?
Doctor, is your connection okay? I actually can't hear you right now.
Yeah, I think something's wrong with my connection. Can you hear me? Okay, 1 second. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you right now.
Okay, I
Julie?
apologize. I think there was an issue with my connection here, but let me just get back to it.
Yeah, not a problem.
All right, so let me just go back. So as I was talking about with the analysis, so once you've created your post, then you can analyze the data that you get from the engagement. And so here, as you can see, there's a view insights whenever you tap on your post there, and that'll bring you to the next slide, which you can actually access all of the post insights. And so here you can see how many likes, comments, shares, and saves, as well as how many people interacted with your post. And most importantly, how your post was discovered. So in this example, the vast majority of the impressions came from the explore page here. And so that means that something about the post resonated with my followers who engaged with my post, which then drove the post to the explore page, and then thereby bringing more traffic to my page. And so why is this important? Well, if you see on the right, you can actually sort by which posts drew the most impressions. And so these are just a collection of posts that resonate with my followers. And so they will likely resonate with them again. And so here you can see that I reposted content on my page. These two posts are the same, and they both drew over 1 million impressions to my page. And so again, if you repost content on your page was previously successful, then you can likely emulate the same type of success. And so now let's pivot from the Instagram workflow and talk about how to build your brand. And so it's really all in the name, in my opinion, to really get things started. And so you want to keep your username as simple as possible. And so you want to keep your name easy to remember, and ideally not have a lot of other symbols or anything else associated with it. because it gives you more credibility, in my opinion, whenever you just have a very simple, straightforward name. And so when I first started Instagram, my original username was plastic.surgery underscore, which I thought was a good name because I thought that whenever people typed in plastic surgery, they'd be able to find it, be one of the first things that came up. But then I realized that over time, people thought that the username looked kind of spammy. It was plastic dot surgery underscore. And so luckily, Instagram allows you to change your username. And so you're able to go into your settings and you can change your username an infinite amount of times. Now, Instagram will record what your previous usernames were so that your followers don't get confused and people are aware that you had a different identity before. But I think that's awesome that Instagram allows you to do that because you can always rebrand yourself as necessary if you want to change your username on Instagram. And so the next thing is you want to reserve your name across platforms in order to build brand recognition. And so once I found that Celebrity Plastics wasn't taken, I immediately went to other platforms like Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter to reserve the name. And luckily, the name wasn't taken, so I was able to reserve it in order to keep that brand consistency. And on the same note, you want to reserve your brand's domain name if possible. And so you don't even need to have a website built in order to reserve your domain. You can go on Google Domains, which is what I did in order to reserve celebrityplastics.com and now have intellectual property control of the name. It's almost like real estate nowadays to reserve your website domain name. And so I highly recommend that you keep that same synergy amongst everything. And then you also want to design a logo so that people have something visual to associate with your brand. I design my own logo using an app that I'll talk about later. However, you can also hire someone to make one for you down the road. And so my main tips for success, by far the most important thing to do is make sure you post consistently. And, if you don't post consistently, there's enough content on Instagram that people will just forget about you, and so you always want to maintain on that presence. You always want to show up on their feeds on a daily basis, ideally, so that people don't forget about you. And the reason why you want people to engage with your content is because the more that they engage with your posts, the more likely they're able to see that on their feed and that you'll be one of the first accounts to show up on their feed. And so if you don't have engaging content, then unfortunately the algorithm will push you further down on their feed and you'll have less opportunity to be seen by your followers. And so you want to use Instagram Insights again to determine what posts work best for your followers. And so for me, I'm a huge fan of objective data that can really guide how you can make future posts. And so I used to make, as an example, I used to make silly title posts that people would have to swipe by in order to see my actual content. But then I quickly found that those types of posts did not do as well as others based on the insights from those posts. And so I made a little modification. I stopped putting those title slides. And then lo and behold, I started to get more engagement on those posts. And so you really want to use that data to really, modify how you post. And then eventually you'll find something that works for you. And so you should also not be afraid to cross post across platforms. And so if you have multiple platforms like TikTok or Facebook, it's okay to cross post, the same content across these platforms because it's highly likely that your followers really only follow you on one platform. And so it's okay to repurpose this content for other platforms, especially if it's done well for you because it's likely to do well for you on other platforms as well. And on that same token, it's okay to repost your best content because even if your followers see it once, just as I mentioned before, if it's good content, most of the times they won't mind seeing it again. And a lot of times they won't even remember if, the post that came from you necessarily or where they saw it before. And so I tend to repost my best content. I give it a few months or a few weeks in between so that, it's had time to kind of, get past people's memory and stuff. And then, I'll repost it again and see if it hits. And so I wanted to just talk briefly about the tools that I use in order to make my posts. And I highly recommend that people screenshot this because I think this is valuable information. This is something that took me a long time to really figure out my workflow. And so these are very valuable tools that I think can really help you optimize your posts as well as your time. And so, for me, it's also about being very efficient with your posts. You don't want to spend a lot of time doing this, in my opinion, especially for me. I'm in the OR a lot. And so this can really help you out in that aspect. And so the first application I recommend is later.com. It is a paid scheduling application that fully integrates with Instagram's API. And so this allows you to schedule posts for multiple profiles across social media platforms. I know Dr. Catrice had mentioned Hootsuite, and that is a similar type of application. But this allows you to make posts ahead of time, so it reduces the stress of having to constantly produce content. And that's one of the biggest issues that I had when I first started out, is that I was always trying to think of what to post, and I was spending every single day trying to think of new content, writing new, captions and everything, trying to find new hashtags. And it was a daily process, and you can easily get burnt out doing that. And so what I do nowadays is I just spend one weekend a month, and I just create content for the entire month, and just schedule it out so that it kind of frees up the rest of my month. Yes, it is, a day where you kind of work and are doing a lot of work on that day, but it's totally worth it because then again, it frees up your time. And if you look up here, you can see that you can cross post between platforms very easily. And so you can link it to Twitter, to Facebook, and to other Instagram profiles. And then you can kind of mix and match the different posts so that, again, you can post your best content across platforms and new people will see it. So another highly recommended tool to use is Verku.com. This is also a paid application that allows you to analyze Instagram pages. And so this is a great way to find engaging content to repost. It gives you a lot of statistics. It gives you your average engagement as well as your average likes, your best posts with the most likes and engagement, as well as your worst. And so you can actually look up other people's profiles and see what content works for them. And so for me, I advertise for other plastic surgeons. And so I use this tool to really look at their page and analyze their engagement rate. And I tend to pick the posts that do the best for them, with the understanding that I also have a plastic surgery oriented page. And so similar type of following. And so if the post did well for them, it will likely do well for me. And since I have a large audience, that drives a lot of patients and traffic to their page in order to look at the rest of their content as well. And so this is what I use to really find what is the best content for my for the people that I advertise for, and so this has worked well for me. The next tool that I recommend is socialblade.com. This is a free website that allows you to quickly analyze your engagement rate as well as track followers over time. And so this is great for looking at competitors and seeing if their followers are legitimate. And so as you grow, your engagement rate goes down over time. And that's just the nature of, because, you have such a large following, that your engagement rate as a proportion tends to go down. And that's just a known phenomenon. But if with a smaller following, you should expect a higher engagement rate. But regardless, this is just a great tool to track how many followers you're getting a day, as well as the monthly totals. And then you can also see yearly totals as well. And so this is a great way to look at your competitors as well, because you can really see what their engagement rates are. And you will definitely be surprised at what you find, because a lot of people purchase fake followers and have fake engagement on their pages. And I'll briefly talk about that a little bit later. And so Canva, this is an app that a lot of people are familiar with. This is a free app that you can edit images on your phone. This is great for editing images to fit Instagram's proportions. And so, for example, if you screenshot a Twitter post, it won't fit in the dimensions of what Instagram requires in that square dimension. And so you can use that to really reformat the post. And so then you can repost tweets. It also comes with easy to edit templates, and this is my go-to app for creating content. Hashtag Expert is something that I recommended earlier. And so this is a free app that you can search hashtags that are most relevant to your topic. And so here I searched celebrity plastics, and it came up with every hashtag that is related to celebrity hashtags. Celebrity plastics. And so what I recommend is that you store your most used hashtags in a notepad so that you can copy and paste them into similar posts in the future. As you can see, that's what I did on the right here for anything related to fillers. And then be sure to switch up your hashtags so that Instagram doesn't think that you're spam with the same exact hashtags on every post. Sometimes you can risk getting shadow banned if you do that. A Notable, this is a great app that allows you to annotate directly on images. I highly recommend that you watermark anything that you post on Instagram, because people will inevitably repost your work, oftentimes without permission. And so here I just did a before and after of Naomi Campbell. And because I don't want people just to steal the work that I put into putting this before and after together, I just put the Celebrity Plastics logo and then just some information about her age. And so that way, if people do repost your content, they'll be able to find the original source no matter where your content is posted. And so I highly recommend that app. Logo Shop is a free app that allows you to create logos. The paid version has a lot more features, and I think I paid like a couple bucks in order to unlock the features. And this is just an inexpensive way to create a logo. You can always upgrade your logo down the road. I just found that this logo worked for me, and then whenever I branched out to create celebrity injectors, I just used the same template and just switched it up a little bit. And yeah, and that worked for me. So just briefly to talk about some pitfalls. And so you want to avoid buying fake followers, and then just to briefly talk about shadow bans. And so there's a ton of websites out there where you can buy followers, and I highly recommend that you do not buy fake followers. You may think, what's the worst that can happen? I can at least get that number looking nice, and people will see that number, and people will want to, follow me because they see that I have that large following. I definitely understand that feeling, and I, definitely experimented when I first started Instagram. However, this is a huge mistake and will completely destroy your page, which you will never recover if you do that. And so let me explain why. And so remember this slide. Well, what happens when you buy fake followers is that you just increase the denominator of this calculation without increasing the numerator, since fake followers do not interact with your page. And so if you're increasing the denominator, you're just lowering your engagement. And so when you lower your engagement, you will never trend on the top post. You will never be on the explore page. And so you're really just, releasing your content for a bunch of bots. You're not having real humans interact with your page. And so this is really obvious on a lot of pages who have a high following, but then when you click on their posts, they have like, a couple hundred likes, and that's not proportionate. When you have like 50,000 followers, you should have a lot more than a couple hundred likes. And so it's very obvious to anyone who really understands social media that the profile is not legitimate whenever you have that type of engagement. And so, people may ask, why not buy fake likes and comments? And because that increases the numerator versus the denominator. Well, Instagram looks at the likes and comments of your actual followers to determine if a post shows up on the top post or explore page. And so buying likes will have low quality bots like the post, but they don't actually follow your page. And so Instagram doesn't use them in their calculation. And so if Instagram notes consistent, unusual behavior where you're having these people that do not follow your page constantly liking your posts, then they can identify that this is unusual behavior, and then you run the risk of becoming shadow banned. And so what is a shadow ban? And so shadow bans occur when Instagram detects suspicious activity on your page that I mentioned, or if your post violates their term of service. And so this results in an immediate loss of engagement, which means that your post will only be visible to your current followers and no one else. And so I've been shadow banned a few times during my journey, and it's a horrible feeling. I post plastic surgery photos, which sometimes can be a little bit more revealing than the typical Instagram post. And so there are Instagram bots that scan through these photos. It can automatically flag them. And so I definitely experienced a shadow ban. And so here you can see an example of the type of engagement loss after being shadow banned. And so this was way back in September, but I had reached almost 7 million accounts. With about 13 million impressions. But then a couple of weeks later, I had gotten shadow banned, and then my engagement completely tanked. And so I tend to not post whenever I get shadow banned because I feel like I'm just wasting content. And so here you can see where I did make a post, but this was significantly lower than the millions that I had before. And the amount of impressions, again, totally dropped off. And so whenever you notice this type of drop off in your activity, then you can pretty much guarantee that you've been shadow banned. And unfortunately, shadow bans last a very long time. It lasts 3 months, and there's really not much that you can do to appeal it. You can appeal it immediately after you get the notification that one of your posts violated their terms of service, but that's pretty much the only time that you can appeal it. And they may not remove the shadow ban even after they review it. And so you want to definitely avoid this at all costs. And so I think I'm running out of time here, but I want to open up the floor to any questions. If anyone wants to reach out to me, I'll be happy to answer any questions. You can just DM me at Dr. Keys or Celebrity Plastics. I'm also on Facebook, or you can even email me. I do offer private consulting to help build your presence on Instagram. And so please DM me and say that you were referred from the Global Summits, and I'll be happy to offer a discount with that referral. So thank you.
Well, Dr. Keys, that was awesome. That especially when you're explaining the metrics, right? The how you look at. I like that formula. I'm not a math person, but I like things that make sense.
Mm-hmm.
When you say that you need to have the comments and the likes, and then you divide by you know, the
The
number of
following.
followers,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that to give people a sense of how much engagement they have. Do you want to just close this for a second, Doctor? The slides?
Oh, yeah, sure. Do I just stop sharing?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, there you go.
there. So then we look better. Not just kidding. So and like we were chatting earlier, when we talking about being very visual, right, with what you post, and
Mhm,
very similar to somebody, let's say in dentistry, and posting that, and you also mentioned the age of the average age, average age group
mhm.
of the people who are following. Would you say then that you would need to have a sort of a younger age group to be to actually follow you on Instagram per se?
So yeah, I think Instagram tends to have a little bit of a younger age group. I think Facebook just historically has an older population, and so people who want to reach that demographic, I think, should focus more on Facebook. Instagram is a great mix, I think, of the young adult age, kind of in their early 30s. And then TikTok is really for the Gen Z, the people in their teens and early 20s. That's a great platform for that. And YouTube kind of is just across the spectrum there. But again, the people that are really trying to get plastic surgery tend to be in their early 20s and 30s. And as far as like body contouring and stuff, and then a little bit older for facelifts and stuff. And so I think Instagram's a great demographic for that.
Yeah, and I especially like the later.com app that you share,
Mhm.
because yeah, I seriously I'm thinking, is this Dr. Keys working, or what? Because he's posting all these great pictures and he's always on there. And I mean, I kind of know, you must be using something, right,
Mhm.
to make sure that you're omnipotent and you're always there.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time. I know that people say, hey, oh, it's Instagram, just posting pictures. I can do it on my own.
Mhm.
Why would someone, and I know the reason, I just want to ask you, why would someone want to engage with you and have you help them grow their Instagram followers?
Well, I think it's just I have experience in the Instagram space, and I've built multiple profiles. I got Celebrity Plastics with 187,000 followers. Dr. Keys is about to hit 100,000 followers, and Celebrity Injectors has 78,000 followers. And so I've built the Celebrity Injectors in just a year, just using the techniques that I've discovered over time. And so I can definitely help people who, are struggling to get off the ground. It's really hard to start off their following. I say to people that the first, 1,000 followers is a lot harder than the next 10,000. And so it's really hard to really get off the ground. And I can help people do that and use the techniques that I use in order to maximize the opportunity to go viral and to maximize their engagement. And so, I'm happy to help to spread this information again. That's what I love about the Global Summit is that it's a connection of medical professionals, and we're all helping each other get better. And so, I just want to offer my services to anyone who's interested.
Yeah, and what I always tell people, you can always do stuff yourself, right? Because
Mhm,
we are all pretty smart. That's how we got through schools and we got through professional schools. But just because you can do it, it doesn't mean you should be the one doing it, right?
mhm,
Because
exactly.
obviously a lot of these ones, let's say once you in your particular case, once you have all the images, I'm sure you can also leverage a virtual assistant, somebody who
Mhm,
can actually do the work for you. A lot of us
mhm,
dentists in the office, it could be one of our staff, right?
mhm.
Where we can leverage our expertise, and what works best for us is to actually treat the patient,
Exactly.
be chairside or bedside, because that's what's creating the income. And then all of these activities, once we have the systems and we know the resources and we know the go-to person to ask, right,
Mhm,
for advice, or when we have a problem, then we can just make it one more of the system that run our business, like part of marketing system.
Mhm.
So I'm a very big fan of reaching out to experts like you. You know, if I want to do Instagram, obviously, reach out to expert like you. I had a short discussion with you about advertising on your platform
Mhm.
to reach a particular demographic, a particular group that I want to reach out.
Mhm.
And I think it's great when we as doctors actually, um, obviously you've spent the time learning the system, like you said, and understanding like the bands that you just said. I mean, I don't I don't know anything about that. So to learn from the experts, we don't have to take the time to learn ourselves, right?
Mhm.
That's the whole
Exactly.
point to this.
Absolutely.
It is to see, oh, that's the result. He already did a lot of trials. He already did a lot of learning. Now we can just engage with him and
Mhm.
learn the fastest way to grow our Instagram followers.
Mhm.
You know, a lot of time on social media, one of the challenges that we have as doctor is how authentic, right? How much do we want to show ourselves? And I know you post a lot of before and after, and you
Mhm.
have great engagement. How much do you say that you have to kind of talk about yourself or show yourself as far as you're concerned?
To be honest, you don't really have to show yourself if you don't want to. I'm a little bit more of an introvert, and so I actually don't like to sit there and take selfies and do all that kind of stuff. I think that stuff takes a lot of time as well, and so it all kind of depends on what kind of following you want to have. Like, do you want to be the person who's all dancing in front of the TikTok and stuff, or do you want people to look at your photos that are really well you know shot and edited and everything like that. I don't harp on anyone who wants that.
Right, right.
But it just takes a lot more time and effort to do that. You really have to set up photographers to take good photos of you. You got to edit the photos, and that's a lot of work. And so for me personally, I don't feel like I need to do that at this stage of my career. Will I plan on doing that, later on? I definitely will. And I think in my last year fellowship, which is upcoming, I probably will start to put myself out there a little bit more. But I think that for me, it's more of a kind of time versus benefit. And for what I'm doing right now, I'm investing a lot less time for a lot more benefit. And so I think that the current formula is just working for me. But I think everyone has different motivations for what they want to accomplish on social media. And so I'm happy to talk with anyone, privately again, as far as what their goals are and how we can accomplish that, and kind of go from there.
Yes, and you touch it right on point there. And we're talking about leveraging, right? We're
Hmm.
leveraging our time, and a lot of time when you have a strategy like what you do,
Hmm.
the strategy is the before after engagement, right?
Hmm.
Like you
Yes.
said, tap twice if this person looks great to you. Tap twice if you agree, or thumbs up or
Hmm.
whatever.
Hmm.
That is a strategy to get people to engage, and really
Hmm.
you anticipate there will be engagement because the question you ask, the
Hmm.
answer is a yes, right? Because
Yes. Yes.
nobody's gonna
Absolutely.
say no, I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
So that all has to do with that strategy, because
Hmm.
once you have the strategy, then you're very clear in what the steps are.
Yeah.
When we don't know, we start posting different things, and
Yeah.
we hoping, right? And
Yeah.
we all know hope is not a strategy. But
Yeah.
anyway, so there's some of us who are hoping to get the engagement, and instead of just investing in, what, let me go to the guy, the doctor who knows how to do this, how to get engaged, how to get followers,
Uh,
and then I'm sure you're gonna give a roadmap, guidelines how
mhm.
to actually do it efficiently.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
that I think that's wonderful. Now, I know that on Instagram, for you, it's kind of a global thing, right?
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
you set yourself up as an influencer.
Hmm.
The For the people, so let's say somebody say, well, I just have my dental office or my medical office, and
Hmm.
is in this little town. Why should I be on Instagram? What would your answer be for that?
So my response to that is uh, there is there is no I think that Instagram is worldwide, as you mentioned, and so patients are willing to travel to go see people now. I mean, I hear all the time, these providers in small towns where patients fly in to go see them. They stay overnight at a hotel or something, and then they get their procedure done, and then they leave. And so nowadays, there's no borders to where you can practice, and you can practice anywhere in the world, and people are willing to come see you if they really want you to do their work. And so, I post befores and afters of results from world famous plastic surgeons, and some of them live in small towns, and they just love that environment. They love the rural nature of wherever they're living, but people are willing to go see them, which I think is a difference now with social media. Back in the day, before social media, you really had to rely on local advertising and local billboards and radio and TV and stuff. But now with social media, you can capture a worldwide audience. And if you capture them, they're willing to come see you. So I think it's worth it. I think you can definitely increase your patient base, not only within your town, but also again from wherever.
Right. And really I think that's a shift in mindset,
Hmm.
a shift where we know that, I I may be practicing here, I may be localized here, but I should be known out
Hmm.
there, right?
Hmm.
Because imagine your patient come in and you could be in small town USA, but they say, "Oh, I saw you posting pictures on Instagram, and you
Yeah.
have 20,000 people who like it." Whatever it is,
Yeah.
it sets that authority, right?
Hmm.
And I think a lot of time it also sets up the expectation when somebody come in to see one of us healthcare professionals, and they have followers and they have certain influence. If they Google your name, and several pages come up of who you are and where you've been and where you speak and etc., it sets up that expectation that you are the expert. And then from a business standpoint, you can also set your fees accordingly,
Hmm.
because you're just not, the small town doc. you
Yeah.
you are you are known worldwide. So that's, I think that's a shift, a big shift in mindset and in understanding marketing. So
Hmm.
now let me ask you, this is a tricky question.
Okay.
So and I think this has a lot to do with your fellow medical doctors,
Hmm.
because a lot of my friends who are medical doctors, they might have their private office, and then they sold it, and they wanted the easier life, right? Working for entities like Kaiser Permanente, right?
Hmm.
So now they are in a medical group where they don't necessarily, well, they may not think that they should stand out, because
Yeah.
they just with this group, and they contracted with these plans.
Hmm.
Then why would they want to be on Instagram?
So I think that if it's kind of like having a team, like a basketball team, and if you got someone like LeBron James on your team, it's only going to benefit the whole team, right? I mean, it's just going
That's
to
it.
bring a lot of people that just want to see LeBron James, but overall, they're going to be seeing the team, right? And so I think that if you got people who are visible on social media, it only benefits people. I mean, yes, they may be going to see that doctor, but they may get referred to a colleague for something else, that offers a different service, and they may like the results from that one doctor and then decide that they want to get something else done by a different doctor in the same group because, hey, everyone on this team must be good because they're working with this doctor. And so, I think increasing your presence on social media is only a good thing as long as you're known for something good, obviously. And so, that can also take a hit the other direction, right? If you get popular for the wrong reasons, you can obviously destroy your career. And so you just want to be careful what you post on social media, and just, but if you're consistent and do things the right way and get an organic, legitimate following, again, there's so many opportunities that come your way, and I highly recommend it. I'm only a fellow in training right now, and I've just had so many opportunities. I mean, being published in these huge, print media and stuff as a fellow is just really humbling. And I think big projects too, like you mentioned, these huge conglomerates of doctors. Maybe I will develop a brand where I take celebrity plastics and hire other doctors to represent the brand and use my platform on Instagram to advertise for them. And so, that's a possibility down the road. And, you know, maybe we can start taking control back. Like the doctors should be in control of these businesses instead of letting these like venture capitalists buy out our practices and try to run it. Maybe we can all group together and come up with these super practices and still let it be physician owned, and then change the paradigm. Who knows? And so
Well, I think that was gold. The answer of, why don't you be the LeBron James of your group?
mhm,
uh, I think that just a big shift, because again, I've talked to some colleagues and they, well, I'm working for this group and whatever they decide to do, sort of thing, right? But
mhm,
yes, exactly. But if you're the LeBron James, now all of a sudden you will have a say in it, right?
mhm,
Maybe you're going to take it a different direction. Maybe you're going to say, hey, yes, we take all those insurance, but now
mhm,
we're starting concierge
mhm.
services, right?
Yeah.
And so you
Yep.
just have people shifting from whatever insurance dependent services that's the reason why they bought the insurance in the first place,
Mhm,
shifting to concierge level.
mhm,
And then you just create your own economy, which is what I love to
mhm,
teach people,
mhm,
our colleagues and business owners, because a lot of time you can complain as much as you want. Nobody's going to do anything for you, right?
mhm.
You might as well be the lead and be the change that you want to be. Well, it's been an absolutely blast to host you today. Again, thank you so much for coming in, giving value. You're not just a fellow. You're an MD. You're an influencer. You're a visionary because you're already creating impact while you're still in training per se, right? So, any last advice for people getting ready to jump into Instagram?
Thank you for having me, Dr. Latran, and I really appreciate it. Sorry for the technical difficulties
Oh, don't
earlier.
worry, don't worry.
But as far as advice that I offer people, again, I think that you just have to be consistent. That's the biggest advice that I can offer. For me, when I first started and I was only getting like 5, 10 likes per post that I was doing after investing so much time in creating content and thinking that like something's going to go viral, and it just didn't take off. you know you just have to keep working at it, and you will eventually develop a following, and you will eventually figure it out. And as long as you keep it up, you'll eventually have it pay off. And so, again, I'm available to anyone has any questions, and I look forward to seeing you in Miami.
Awesome, awesome. So everybody, there you go. That's Dr. Michael Keys, MD, on how to create 300,000 followers on Instagram. You can find him on all social media, but especially on obviously on Instagram, where he's posting all the time. I don't think he sleep or eat or even work. Thank you so much for following us on Global Summits Institute. We hope to see all of you in July at Action to Win in Miami, where Dr. Michael Keys will also be speaking and presenting a keynote. And everybody, please have a safe, wonderful weekend with your family and go crush it next week. Thank you, Dr. Michael Keys.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great talking. Thanks.
Thank you.